Let's take a look at iSAFE 4.0. Just like its previous versions, 4.0 is also a tool-agnostic one. We have multiple versions of the framework available for the different automation tools like UFT, QTP, Ranorex, SilkTest, TestComplete, etc. But not limited to only these tools. We can use the framework for any other automation tools. The one we're going to see during today's demo is the Selenium version of it. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to demonstrate the compatibility testing capabilities of the framework, where the same script will be executed on multiple target computers. That includes an Android device, a Windows computer, a Mac computer, and an execution that's happening on the cloud, which is a browser stack session. We will start the demo with the basic configurations, which will be pretty similar to the iSAFE 3.5, and then move on to the mobile execution trigger, and then a small feature that we've added to the status bar where we can stop the execution. And finally, the DevOps readiness and the DevOps integration, where we highlight the CDCI capabilities using tools like Jenkins, and then the project build demonstrated through Maven, and then for the source code we've used SVN. So with that introduction, let's move on to the demo. There's not much of change we have here from 3.5. Most of it is similar. So we have suite level configuration here, where we provide the application environment, and then any specific things with respect to that particular environment. Things like timeouts. If we experience latency issues in a particular environment, we can increase the timeout so that the scripts don't fail because of an issue in the in the environment. Rather, just waits and times out for a certain number of seconds. And we have other generic stuff like the database related settings. There is a setting available for what is to appear in the report, what not to, and then we have single multiple execution settings, and then we also have some settings for the emails to be sent out at the end of execution. There's an Android setting, memory leakage report, and iOS related settings. Let's move on to the next sheet, which is the grid configuration. Here we have two sections. The first section, or the top section, we can see it's all related to the desktop machines. The first one is a Windows, second one is a Mac, and the third one is a cloud, where we are executing the scripts on a Windows XP Chrome 45 version. And second section is the devices, where we are going to execute the scripts. We can see the Moto G2 and iPad that's connected here, but we've excluded the iPad from getting executed. So there is a reason to it, because we're going to trigger the executions from iPad. So we don't want to trigger the execution and also execute on the same iPad. So we've excluded that from getting executed. The next configuration is the test case setting sheet. So we have a list of test cases that we are going to execute. The first 6 test cases are with respect to UI, and then we have a couple of database related tests and a couple of API related tests. The test case 8 is a combination of database as well as UI. So we execute a query, get a record set back from the database, use that record set to validate against the UI objects. So this is the test case setting. We can select the test case for execution, or we can set it to no. That way that particular test case will be executed, will be excluded from the execution. Finally, we have a test data sheet. So here all the data are isolated and saved in the sheet. So none of these are hard-coded in any of our scripts. So we have the liberty of opening the sheet, modifying the data, executing it, and this also enables non-technical users like functional managers or functional testers or even business analysts to open the sheet, modify the data, and execute the tests. We can see some of the test cases have multiple rows of data. It indicates we have data-driven testing implemented there. The same test case is going to be executed multiple times with different sets of data. So that's what it means. And we have an execution flag for every set of data that we are using. So here we can see it's the same. Mobile platforms. Currently, what we are seeing is an iPad version of the app. So we have a couple of user roles defined in the system. One as a manager and the other one as a tester, where the manager gets to see all the projects that he is responsible for, and tester is responsible for executing the scripts for his own project. So we're going to sign in as a tester. So we just logged into the app. So we have a couple of things here. So whatever projects the tester is part of, we can see those getting listed here, and whatever test suites that we have created also appears in here. And we can just select the project ID and the test suite that we want to execute. We get a couple of options here. So there's an execute button here, and there's a stop execution, and a couple of other things. We can get the results refreshed. For stopping the execution. And then we have a live stream where we can see what's happening on that particular machine when the scripts are getting executed. And finally, that's to reload the results and show the results in the real time. So let's minimize the UI in the background so that we trigger the execution here and see what's going on. So we've clicked on this and started the execution. Let's keep this a little aside. You can see all these things are happening. While these things are getting executed. Let's remember that the mobile device is not required to be connected to the lab. So this mobile device could be anywhere. It could be your personal phone. Just install the app on your device, and all we need is an internet connectivity. So we are trying to refresh. So we can see the executions on cloud, the Mac. On the cloud, it has completed 2 test cases, and we can see here now we have 2 rows of data. So one for the cloud and the other one for the Mac. So as it progresses, so when we click on the live stream, it opens up what's on the, so it's going to show what's on the server. Let's refresh and see what's happening. We can see there's one more target computer here. So all the 10 test cases are executed here, out of which 4 passed, 1 failed, and there were 5 test cases skipped. And I forgot to mention that the API and database test cases will be explicitly skipped on all the target machines except the first one, because we kind of disabled it, and if there is a and on the Android. We should be done with the execution in the next 1 or 2 minutes. Generic reports that are created for the execution a little later. So when I show the new status bar feature where we can stop the execution, feature that we have introduced iSAFE. So let's quickly go over the other feature that I wanted to show, the new stop execution feature that's available on the status bar. So now I'm going to bypass the mobile application. I'm going to use the UI to trigger. I'm just launching the UI again. So we'll uncheck yeah, I think we have all the required stuff in here. So let's start the execution. So we can see the Suite status bar. It is actually launching the hub, the node, etc., and it has already started executing the test cases, and we get to see which test case is getting executed, and what uh, node the test case is getting executed on. And here we have a stop execution button here. So this is what I was talking about. So in case if we feel there's something, so you can see it finally killed all the threads and it has got out here. So we can quickly see the report for the current execution. So we get a small snapshot here. So how many test cases were skipped during the execution, that we can see at the end, and also how many got passed and how many failed. Everything is captured in here. So I've checked the text box that says open execution report, and now opening the report. So when we hover on top of each of these target computer graphs, we get to see how many passed, failed, skipped. And at the bottom we see a small dashboard where we execution and after the execution, and see the delta between the before and after. Wherever there's a huge increase in the memory, so we capture that, and in the descending order of the size, we have sorted all the processes. And also some information on the severity wise failure, whatever we have defined, it comes up here. This report is bad. Can't show this. Report, Sarana, when the report is launched, You just edit it. We're going to use the earlier report. Test case wise execution status, how many test cases executed, passed, failed, skipped, etc. And depending on the failures that we get, we can see here that there is a categorization based on the severity that we have defined for the particular test case. And then we have test case wise status of the current execution. And here we see that there is a test case 5 which has failed. So when we click on that, we see it performed a couple of steps in green, which indicate those steps passed. It clicked on the clicked on the track claim from the choose option drop down list, and then the information page loaded successfully. But then it displayed an error message. This functionality isn't implemented for demonstration purpose. So when we click on the screenshot, so let's open a passing test case. So here we create a code, and if you see, here we have a whole lot of. We can see it's all pretty similar to functional test cases. Select auto code from choose option drop down list, and then type some value. So this is the value that we get from the test data sheet, and this is the control on which we are typing in the value. And here we see a whole lot of validations are performed on the application. So we that's for this is for the create code. So we perform a lot of validations here as well. So let's quickly go over to a database test case. So this is a test case where we are trying to create a small table, inserting some values. Let's see here. Again, we are performing certain insert operations. And let me show you an API test case here. So here we send a request, we get a response, validate the response. So I'm just going to log in now. So here we're going to see the Jenkins job configuration. So I'm just going to the configuration here. So this is the configuration page where we have we define which source code management that we need to use. We've chosen the subversion and provided the repo path here, and whatever credentials are required, those are also configured in here. and I'm just saving this. And we also provide the pom.xml for the Maven, and then where the reports have to be published. So those kind of things are configured in the Jenkins job. And let me show the SPN side of it. Yeah, so now we're gonna start the execution. We're gonna build a Jenkins job now. You can see it's currently executing. Let's see the log. This is the console log of the current execution. So it's currently executing the Maven from the path, and that's a pom.xml that we had specified inside the Jenkins job. You can see the iSAFE framework has started executing the scripts. Everything is run on headless mode, so we don't see the UI or the actual actions performed on the application. Once the execution is complete, we'll be able to see the HTML reports. So while this is getting executed, just wanted to let you know something here. So the HTML reports, this is a simplified version of our HTML report. So we're gonna add an advanced version of our report in our repository. So it's getting executed. Meanwhile, what I can show is I can show you one of the previously executed report. So this is getting executed. I'm going to open the previous execution report here. We can see this is a particular test case that got executed, and whatever we typed in or whatever operations we performed is all appearing in here in the report. So this is the test ng report that we get. Pause. So it's needless to say that all the artifacts, all the reports, everything is captured and saved within Jenkins, and it can be globally accessed within the organization wherever we have access to the Jenkins server, and anyone can just open this and see what happened on a particular run at any given point in time. All right, that's pretty much it we had from our end. Thank you so much. Hope you found this demo useful. Thanks for watching.